Sorry, Jay, nothing I can do about that.
Sounds like we're
I was
having
just
our
really concerned.
Zoom meeting in an airplane.
I was just really concerned that I was causing it because I often have these like little audio routing loops and all the stuff that I do. So I'm just glad it wasn't me.
All right, I think we probably have enough people to get started here. We'll probably have some stragglers, but welcome everybody. Nice to see you all. And I guess we'll go ahead and we'll start with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Chumash people and pay our respects to elders both past and present. We honor the traditional territory as well as the story and contributions of the Chumash people to the land upon which we gather and create. Okay, we're going to go around and we'll do some introductions, and if anyone has any quick announcements, this would be the right time to do it. I'm going to go ahead and call people out in the order they are on my screen. So that means I'm starting with you, Jay.
All right. Oh wait, you're hearing your own audio. I'm trying. All right, great. So my name is Jay Freeman. I'm on the board of the Isla Vista Community Services District, but I am not here representing them today. I'm here in my own personal capacity. I'm also on the Local Agency Information Commission, and now no longer new news on the Goleta Valley Library Advisory Commission. We have a new board member from the Community Services District who will be taking my place.
Okay, thanks. Elijah?
Hey everyone, Elijah Ettinger, Community Engagement for Cookies Cannabis, no updates.
Kirsten?
I think you said me, so Kirsten Deschler, UCSB Government Relations.
Thank you. Gary?
Hello, everyone. UCSB Police Department. Sorry, I should probably say my name first. Gary Gaston, UCSB Police Department, Community Outreach. I guess an update, we've been greenlit to do something called the Gaucho Guardian, which is a publication that we plan on starting off as a blog and then moving into making it a magazine, if you will, a very small magazine, but stuff that can basically give people information about what we're doing. We're looking for community input. If anyone has any ideas or perhaps would like to write an article that we can highlight, that would be great as well. We love showcasing our community people working with us and us working with them because that's what we do, community outreach. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary. Moving on to Lisa.
Hi, Lisa Oglesby, Isla Vista Food Cooperative Board of Directors. No update.
Right,
I'm the other Lisa, Lisa Osborne with KCSB FM. Hi, no update.
I should have said Lisa's iPhone. Viviana.
Hi, Viviana Marzano, Civic and Community Engagement.
Thank you. Kim.
Hi, folks. Kim Equinoa from UCSB's Dean of Students Office.
Sylvia.
I'm Sylvia Bernard. I'm the Executive Director of Good Samaritan Shelter.
Welcome. Jackie.
Hi, everybody. Jackie Curta, Director of UCSB's Alcohol Counseling, Education, Prevention, and Recovery Program.
Victoria.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tori Saunders. I think my name says Victoria on there. I can't figure out how to change it, but I go by Tori. I work for UCSB's Police Department as one of the community outreach officers. So I work with Gary. I don't have any updates.
Thank you. Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jonathan. I'm with the Isla Vista Community Services District, and I don't have any urgent pressing updates right now.
Okay. Spencer.
Hi, everyone. Spencer Brandt, President of the Isla Vista Community Services District.
Ash.
Hi, I'm Ash Valenti, they, them. I'm here in my own personal capacity. I'm one of the IVRPD board directors. I'm also part of EcoVista and Food Not Bombs. Thanks.
And I'm not sure who this is, but this says IVRPD.
Hi, everybody. It's Kimberly Kiefer. I'm here with Raymond Willifert, and we're here to provide an update on the agendaized item. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Deanna?
Hi, everyone. My name is Diana Puente. I serve as the director of, what do I serve as? Oh, Community Affairs, Student Development, and Leadership for Associated Students, and I don't have any updates.
All right, thank you. Kimberly?
Hi, I am Kimberly Albers, and I serve as the Homeless Assistance Program Manager for the County of Santa Barbara in the Community Services Department.
Thank you. YouTube Live, that's you, Jay, right? Okay. Gina?
Hi, my name is Gina Sawaya. I'm a volunteer with Food Not Bombs Isla Vista.
Thank you. Justin?
Hi, Justin Schroeder here with the Sheriff's Department, Isla Vista Community Resource Deputy.
Christina?
Hi, I'm Christina with United Ways Home for Good.
Thank you. Katerina? Hello, Katerina.
Hi, I'm Katrina. I'm also a volunteer with Food Not Bombs.
And I'm Katarina Zamora with the Alcohol and Drug Program, Behavioral Wellness County of Santa Barbara. No updates.
Good to see you both. Okay. Oh, let's see. I guess I got a couple more on the second screen here. Omari.
Hello, everyone. Omari Pryor, Alcohol and Drug Counseling and Recovery Program, UCSB.
Thank you. Gina Fisher.
This is Gina Fisher from the Office of 3rd District County Supervisor Joan Hartman. SB CAG's running a little late today, so I'm not sure if Joan's going to get to jump on or not.
Okay. Shoot, everything just jumped out of line now. Melissa.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late. I'm Melissa. I'm the general manager of the IV Food Co-op. I guess our only announcement is thank you everybody for your graciousness with our produce department situation. If you've been shopping, you've noticed the 2020 fallout of our big installation project. So please be gracious with our tiny but mighty produce department. The cases will be here eventually, and eventually we'll have a full produce department again. Yay, 2020. Thanks.
Yay, 2020.
And we have a delivery live. If you are interested in the co-op delivering to your home, if you are in a vulnerable situation or you can't leave, we have delivery now to Goleta and downtown. Next week is just to Goleta, and then the week after we'll resume our downtown pilot program. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Anna?
Hi, I have an important connection. So...
Oh, we can't hear you. Okay, did I miss anybody? All right. Thank you and welcome. I guess we're going to move. Gina, should we wait on the 3rd district report, come back to it in case Joan makes it, or should we go ahead and do it now?
We can push it back.
Okay, let's push it back then. Then I guess we'll go right into kind of I think the main discussion item as I see it for today's meeting, and that's the emergency shelters in Perfect Park, and then what the next steps are going forward for Anascoyo Park. So why don't we start with the emergency shelter?
So I can start and then I'll pass it to
to Kimberly Albers. So my name is Sylvie Bernard. I'm the Executive Director of Good Samaritan Shelter, and we have been coordinating with the IVRPD and the IVCSD and the County of Santa Barbara to set up what we call a pop-up shelter. It could be called a number of things, but it basically consists of 20 pallet shelters. Each shelter can serve up to 2 individuals, house 2 individuals, only if they come from the same household. So they have to come from the same tent or already be housed together. And it has a heater, it has a plug, and it has a fire smoke alarm, and it also has plugs for them to be able to plug in. It provides some storage underneath the bins. And then we have shower trailers and restrooms and meals being delivered. And a lot of services being brought to the area. So we spent all of last week setting up. We had our first residents move in 3 days ago, and we have more coming in today. But as of yesterday, we had 8 pallet shelters full with 10 people, and we have 3 more slated to move in today, and we anticipate being full by next week. So it's been a huge effort, really appreciative of our partners. It is only a 6-month program. Our goal is to reconnect individuals with either loved ones or help them with housing, help them connect to services so that they can stabilize and be able to move on from here. We have also housed a single father with a couple of minor children already in our Santa Maria shelter campus up in Santa Maria. Wasn't safe for him to stay there, so with his kids. So that's kind of an update. I'm here for questions, and I know that perhaps Kim Albers may have something to add to that. It was really their funding and support that got us to this point. A little bit about Good Sam. We are the largest shelter provider in the county. We recently have expanded to Santa Barbara earlier this year. We run the Sobering Center that is on campus, at the campus, the county campus over on Cairo, off of Cairo, which has seen served over 300 people since the pandemic. It's very, very busy over there. And it basically is a jail diversion program. It keeps people out of jail, and we help people to be able to access services as they need to. And then we also run step down housing in Santa Barbara, which is 4 homes in Santa Barbara that provides temporary housing for homeless individuals until they can move on to permanent housing. It's a partnership with the Public Defender's Office, Behavioral Wellness, and the Sheriff's Department. So, and we also house the jail discharge planner and mental health navigators with probation. So we have a number of programs in South County, and we do an array of services throughout the county. We do everything from warming shelters to permanent housing. We do everything from detox, sobering center, to residential treatment to aftercare. And we really value our success on our partners and working in collaboration with everyone to be able to make sure that we can best meet the needs of the clients and to be able to really stabilize them and get them to housing. So that's a little bit about me. I'll pass it on to Kim.
Just really brief, just wanted to just echo, we were just really fortunate at the county to be able to mobilize resources very quickly to address the immediate health and safety concerns that were continuing in the parks. And so outreach and other efforts really do continue on. The shelter isn't just the only action being taken. So we're just grateful for the community support and efforts going on for our homeless neighbors.
Thank you. I had a question. Where does, for a Good Samaritan, where does the most of your funding come from?
We have an array of funding sources. Most of them are government contracts. This is a government contract. The county is paying for this project. We have had some private donors that have come forward that have donated a number of items. Some have homemade blankets. Today we had some UCSB students who dropped off some bags. We had some welcome bags that were given by another donor on the church group. But we rely on an array of services. The other piece about Good Samaritan is we also have long-term sustainability. So we try, obviously not in this project, but we own most of our buildings outright with no long-term funding issues. And so we are pretty sustainable. We've been around for about 32 years. And so it's tough, but the private funding isn't as common for us to fund projects like this. And so it's partnerships with government that are able to make it happen. And so it's an array, but this funding for this project particularly is coming from the County of Santa Barbara under Kim's department, which is Housing Community Development. It's under CARES funding.
This is Gina from Joan's office. I want to add that I've toured Sylvia, the shelter she runs in Santa Maria, and I think she works miracles. I think she's a miracle worker, and I've seen the families whose lives are stabilizing and turning around in a shelter, and it's gut-wrenching to see families with children have to be in these environments, but then it's hopeful and it's amazing that places like this exist for them to go. And our office just can't thank Sylvia enough, and we're thrilled that she and her team, and it's not just her, but it's her team. They are the gold standard in these services, and they have done this so well for so long with so much compassion and professionalism in Santa Maria. And now they're doing it down here in the South Coast. And we are very, very blessed to have them and the work that they're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really, your brief summary of what you do sounds really amazing. Does anyone have any questions?
I actually have a question, Gary, with Community Outreach UCPD. I was curious, maybe I missed it, but you're operating currently in the county of Santa Barbara, correct? In like the Goleta area?
Yeah, so the pop-up shelter that we're doing for this is in the heart of Isla Vista, but the Sobering Center is just around the corner from, well, it's across the parking lot from the CSU, around the corner from the jail. And so, and as of right now, you can call and drop off directly to the Sobering Center if you have someone that needs sobering services,
Right.
so connect them to services or return them home. Yeah.
Right. And are you affiliated with what was the one in the city of Santa Barbara?
We weren't. So that was privately run. It was only funded by the Santa Barbara Police Department. And so it was the county that put in the Sobering Center, and it's open to all departments, including you guys. And so you're welcome to drop off people at the Sobering Center. But the one that was downtown closed down within a month of us opening. So they're no longer in existence.
Oh, okay. So I actually hadn't heard that, but I was curious because Santa Barbara PD was talking about they're going to start using your facility.
Oh, and they do.
They do. Okay, that was my last question. So this is you guys here then.
Yeah, that's Good Samaritan. Perfect. Yeah, we have 30 different locations, and we have like 60 different programs, and that's one.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And what anyone else have any questions before I ask another one? What's the screening process for people to get into the emergency shelter in Isla Vista? I know there's about 60 or an estimated 60 houseless people in the park there, and it sounds like you've got 8 units with just 10 people. Doesn't feel like it's going to accommodate, the majority even of the people that are there. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's the way I'm thinking.
Sure. So we actually there's 20 units there. We have 8 units that are full as of today, 3 more coming in. So we can serve up to 2 people at a time, depending if they're from the same household. So it looks like we'll probably have about 25 to 30 based on the list. So there's been some extensive outreach that has been done between CityNet, Home for Good, and Good Samaritan Shelter. And we've worked in partnership with other agencies as well, and Father Hedges and some people that have been in Isla Vista for many years. And we also partnered with the public health department to identify those that were the most medically fragile. We identified everyone that was in the park, those that were partnered together, and those that have been there the longest and the most vulnerable. And so based on that list, collaboratively, we came up with a list of prioritization of who gets in, and we're offering it to them. We know that not everyone is going to come. We also have other programs that we have offered for this project. For example, there is human trafficking going on in the park, and we have a human trafficking program, the only one in the county, so we can serve women that need that program. And that's called the Safe House, and it's located in a different part of the county. As I mentioned, if we have families, which we have already served one family, we put them in a family program. It's not appropriate really for them to be there. And so we also have the largest residential treatment programs in the county for drug and alcohol and the sobering center. So we're anticipating that we may be able to have to access other resources to help individuals get services if they can't get there. But we have been chartered to put in 20 units, and that's what our goal is. We've worked with a number of other agencies that I already mentioned to be able to identify who would be offered that housing, and we're going down the list and trying to provide that to be able to help get them into the shelter system.
Yeah, sounds great, and really good to hear that you have. There's so many other resources, so people who aren't necessarily going into the houses, into the emergency shelter, can be going into other programs, which is really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments before we?
I do.
Oh yes, Gina.
Sylvia, I was wondering if you could speak to the rules that the folks living in the tiny homes have to abide by while they're living there, and what happens if they don't follow those rules.
So the rules, it is a low barrier program, and the rules are based on safety, especially in the middle of a pandemic. So there's a lot of concerns, obviously, that we have. So I can talk about that there is a curfew. The curfew is in place. Of course, if someone has a job or they have an essential outing, then they can go ahead and work with the staff to make that happen. We are really strong about adhering to the governor's order. We actually have outbreaks in several of our shelters because of the population. And so we have to make sure that we're following the governor's order and making sure that everyone is staying safe and leaving for essential outings. We do not allow drugs and alcohol on site. It doesn't mean that if they leave for an essential outing and they access it, that they would get kicked out. That's not the case. But they have to make sure that it's a safe place when they come back, and that they are safe and everyone around them is safe. Outside of that, we ask them not to try and disassemble the shelters themselves. We have basic rules. I don't have the rules in front of me, but it's not different than any other low barrier shelter to make sure that everyone stays safe and that they sign in and sign out. And people ask, why would you need people to sign in and sign out? And you could ask Gary if he comes over and he's like, hey, there's a fire, we need to know who's accounted for. We have to account for those people. We're responsible for the ones that are on the property. And so we do need people to sign in and sign out so that we know who they are and where they're going and just to be safe. So I'm sure that you all know that, COVID does not discriminate, but especially amongst high-risk populations, including these, that it's pretty rampant. And I know there's already been an issue in Isla Vista with UCSB students. So that is a big concern of ours. And so we try to make sure we have enough PPEs for everybody, including the clients. And we do request that they respect that so that they can keep themselves safe and their neighbors safe, and as well as the staff safe. So, that's kind of an overall of what the rules are, but it's not different than any other low barrier shelter that is throughout the country.
Hi, Sylvia. I'm Katrina. I'm also a volunteer with Food Not Bombs, and I was hoping you could touch on the rules regarding food in the shelters that you have to ask others to store it for you.
Yeah, so we are providing 3 meals a day plus snacks. We're having it catered by Woody's in the evenings. We're partnering with UCSB and Home for Good during the day, but Woody's will take over at lunchtime when that ends. And then we're providing a breakfast for them in the mornings. The reason that we're asking them not to eat inside their shelters is because it can call for rodents and insects, etc., that we really don't want to mitigate at that location. So it's just a matter, there's food right there at the community center. If someone is hungry, we have food to provide for them. So that's not a problem. And we will provide 3 meals a day. And that shouldn't be an issue. And that's not an issue in our other shelters either.
So what is
I have
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jay.
I have two questions. One of which is that earlier you mentioned that there is trafficking occurring in the parks, and my brain, when I hear trafficking immediately, particularly the context currently with a lot of FOSTA SESTA stuff that's been coming up in the last week, jumps to human trafficking. But then I realized, do you just mean drug trafficking, or do you mean actual human trafficking is occurring in our local parks?
Human trafficking, as well as drug trafficking. Okay. Yeah, there's both, and that's been confirmed. There's a real safety issue in the park, and that's what the goal of this project is to really create a safe place for the community to have back, but also for safety for those that are in the park now. It's there's a lot of issues in the park right now, and so we're hoping to be a part of the solution. That's what we're here for.
I don't know, this is probably not the right context to end up talking about it, but at some point, I don't know if there's another meeting or something that anyway, where anyone would want to reach out to me. I'm very curious to know what level of human trafficking we're seeing in the area. Like, what this sounds horrible. My other question is about the sign in, sign out. It was interesting that you're bringing it up as far as like a fire safety. I mean, it's like in my position as somebody who's not houseless. I've been in many situations where people have been responsible for me, whether it be I stay at hotels or I stay in dorms or I don't remember ever having to sign in or sign out in order to make certain that if a police officer came by, they would know whether I was there or not. But is that really the reason why you're having everyone sign in and sign out of the shelter?
Well, I mean, I can tell you that that's the reason why. The other reason is that we have isolation orders in place and we have people that are testing. So for example, if someone comes up positive, and then they do the tracing and they'll say, oh, okay, they were near Jay Freeman and we need to find him. And they come in there like, we identified that this was the last place he stayed. We can identify whether he's there or not. So right now it's pretty serious to know where people are at and where they're not just the pandemic, but also for any other kind of safety issues. So, but they're signing the rules saying that they're agreeing to that. It's not that they're coming in and we're saying, okay, these are the new rules every day. There's a whole document that they sign that come in, and typically our clients don't have issues signing those documents. We're here for their safety and we're here to help them to be able to become, ones that have homes, not to continue their houseless, situation. We want to help them and access services. And so in order to do that, there has to be a program, and that's our program.
Okay, thank you.
And can you, what is the staffing situation like there?
So we have security 24/7, and then we also have two staff on midnight to 8. We have 3 staff 4 to midnight, and then we have 4 staff during the day. Some are case managers, some are help them access services, and then just the basics where we'll assist them with their laundry. We're going to be able to make sure that everyone's fed, that everyone's showered, that they get all the things that they need, and we're just operating to make sure that everyone is safe and that they get what they need and not fall into a crisis. That's the goal, is to prevent any kind of crisis from happening, which can happen with this population. So we are funded to be fully staffed, and that's where we're at right now.
That's great.
The majority of our staffing are actually 50% of them are students at UCSB that are third, fourth year pre-med that are also EMTs. So we're excited about that. We got quite a few community members that came forward to work in the program.
Right. Any other questions?
Yes, I'm curious, what's the percentage of your program population that's come from the park? Is it primarily residents that have taken up from the Isla Vista Park, or are you?
It's 100%. 100% of the residents have to come from Anascoya Park.
Anything else? Okay, why don't we move on to Ray and Kimberly from Isla Vista Rec and Parks and talk about what's going to be happening in Anascoya.
Hi, thanks, Rodney. Thanks, everybody, for having us here today. So before we get started, I just thought I'd give a little historical context to some of the work that's already been done. First off, I want to really thank Kimberly Albers and Sylvia, the County 3rd District, also members of the working group that are on this call. As for those that know, I'm assuming most people know, that, you know, our houseless population has increased dramatically in a lot of our parks since March due to COVID, due to other reasons. And we've worked really hard to create a pathway for outreach and services to ensure that temporary relocation housing alternatives are available. We definitely took heed to what was expressed to us back in April regarding, you know, the path and process of moving people on, which many agencies around the Tri-County area have, you know, have had some challenges with on how to move people when, you know, frankly, people shouldn't be moved. They should be resourced if they need support. They should be given those resources. And in doing all of that work and advocacy, you know, we have collectively was very proud of the fact that we worked to ensure that in the last, some of the other site closures that we had, that nobody was arrested, property was stored accordingly, and that people were given support and resources for whatever their needs were to be met. And so I really want to make sure that it's clear. Again, it's unfortunate that there's some inaccurate information about the concept of a quote unquote sweep of a park. We did notice the park in its entirety because the park in its entirety will have a series of work that needs to start to be done in Anascoyo Park. Right now, I don't feel comfortable turning on sprinklers on people. We certainly don't feel comfortable doing any type of tree work or any type of other work that needs to be done in that park, knowing that it's going to impact humans that are in that park. We also have a lot of work that needs to be done in the park in a period of time in which it's very limited because of the special, you know, basically environmental special habitat that the park is. We also have the reality that we need to start to address some of the safety issues in the park that, again, isn't all of the community members, but, you know, throughout the course of the last 10 months, we've had an increase of community members who have resided in the park complaining, as well as business owners, as well as other residents. We have, you know, only 4 playgrounds in Isla Vista, and which one of them we cannot open. We are a park and rec district, and unfortunately, we don't have the expertise in which the county has provided. And again, I thank you for that on our staff, as well as within our jurisdiction to spend money on alternative solutions. So, you know, I really want to commend everybody who's put effort into bringing those resources to the table. We all are offering, you know, alternative locations in People's Park. If people are unable to go into the temporary housing based upon whatever reason, maybe they're not ready, maybe they're not interested, you know, maybe they're feeling like it's just not a good space for them to go. We are offering that as an alternative that will be much safer than the current setup right now in Anascoyo Park, which there's not 12 by 12 feet between encampments and tents. And we are going to be working collectively, very similar to what we did in the last, you know, experience, where we're going to ensure that nobody is cited, ticketed. We'd ideally like to not have anybody be, you know, being disrespected in this process. We will be storing items as we have for up to 75 days. And there's significant work that needs to be accomplished at this park that I can understand that not all of you will agree with me or with the district on. However, without providing some of that service, like our main irrigation line that hasn't been run in eight months, we have a busted line. We have no water to the park, in which therefore eventually the park will die. Our parks were not created for campgrounds. They're day use. They're built for day use parks. And my hope and my goal is that collectively the district, we really are hoping that ideally by offering some solutions that we can try to evolve the park without having certain bias towards certain tents or certain people, that, you know, collectively the space should be open and available for everybody. And right now it's not, and it's not safe, unfortunately. And I, you know, out of respect for what I've learned in this process, I don't feel the need to go into the depth of the safety issues out there, but anybody should be able to walk through that park and not feel like they can't be there. And right now, that's the sense I'm receiving, and literally receiving, when anybody walks into that park. So again, we're not sweeping park. We're not taking people's belongings without permission unless they've asked for them to be stored. We're not taking people's blankets. We're not taking people's tents. We are trying to get people to get settled into a new space that is safer and that is more supportive to their needs and also really wanting to support the work that all Collectivity Encampment Working Group, as well as a Good Sam, and make sure that they are being supported, and people that are willing to have, take a step and to try to get into housing. And I believe that's always been a goal of everybody on this call, is to get people who are unsheltered sheltered. I will say this in terms of food security. I think that there, from my experience, which again is very limited thus far in Isla Vista around food security, I know that I don't know if Leonor Reyes is on the phone, but I've worked with her and consistently watched families get turned away because there's no more food out at Estero Park, and would really like to try to see if there's a way to shift some support for food security for Leonor and for some other families and other people. If Good Sam is feeling supported right now with food security, and knowing how important the mission is of food security and housing it is for people here in Isla Vista. So I really appreciate everybody listening. I understand there might be plenty of questions, and feel free to ask. And Rodney, thank you for asking us to be on the call today.
Hey, Rodney. It's Gina,
Yes.
Supervisor Hartman's office, and I want to just chime in really fast that from a safety perspective is actually really important to our office, and I want to put out there a little specifics on a couple of considerations with this plan. One is that, and we have an environmental health report that will be released soon. I have not yet seen it, about concerns with as it is now. But two, from a first responder perspective, there have been a handful of overdoses, and thankfully folks' lives have been saved with Narcan being administered. But the way that the AO Park is currently laid out, and you have the amphitheater, and you have, a lot of stuff up there, if an incident like a fire or something small or an overdose happens, our first responders are really physically limited to getting in there and responding safely. And so for part of this, we have to listen to them and make sure that they have a safe work environment to work in. If a fire broke out right now in Escoyo, just around the amphitheater, residents could get trapped, and that's very real and scary. And so there's those sort of logistics, and People's Park not far away is flatter, more open, better social distancing. Second to that is I have spoken to, and without this organically happening, a number of especially female, but male and female residents of IV who have taken upon themselves, like there was no prompting, there's no nexus for them to call, but like they call and email our office with really significant safety concerns, and how they avoid the area, how they don't go out in the evenings anymore, how they've been physically grabbed at AO Park. Jay was surprised to learn about human trafficking. There were actual women residents of the park being trafficked, and it creates a physical environment that enables that. And so it's difficult to ask people to move and to kind of, especially when they've been there for so long, but there are significant physical safety concerns that I can't fail to emphasize. And the other thing is, as Kimberly mentioned, and most of you guys know, I have an infant for first-time mom, and we're pandemic mom. And it's really, really hard. And I have so few places that I can safely take my baby. And you guys know I don't live in IV, but the fact that a children's park is not open to the children of IV who have so little. And they don't have school right now. And most of them, almost all of the children, and you guys know this, don't have backyards in IV. I think that alone, we should all be together to do something humane, which I think this is a humane process. To at least one of the goals should be, let's get the children's park restored for some of the children of IV. I just personally think that that's really important, and I don't want to overlook that. So I want to just add that that's how our office is feeling about some of the decisions and some of the plans before us.
Thank you, Gina. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I just want Melissa, hi. I just wanted to thank Kimberly for coming on the call. There's very few general managers out here in IV, and I started my general manager position literally 10 years ago. It's the last week of my 10th year. When I started being the GM, I came in with a really strong perspective on what activism is for Isla Vista, and this is just I don't know if this is an appropriate way to say this, but I'll try my best. What I've learned in the past 10 years is the insane challenge of walking the line, being a compassionate, activist-oriented person that also is entrusted with something as special, critical as legal compliance and insurance exposure, and how to walk the line as the co-op being a community entity that's still a business, and having to really figure out how to build bridges between what ends up being an unfortunate polarization in some of our positions around what we as humans want to do with our hearts, but then some of us being in positions of incredible legal responsibility that can end up to personal compliance, especially with some of the new Cal OSHA requirements with COVID compliance. I can be criminally charged if I don't do things right in my business right now as the general manager. It's really hard to be sitting sometimes here in this position and having to navigate these tricky lines that we walk as really compassionate humans that are out here in the community every single day, seeing these folks and being in service to these folks, but also having the flip side of being responsible for the safety of so many people and like making the right steps. So I just wanted to thank Kimberly for jumping on the call and explaining a little bit of this from the GM perspective, but also hearing more about the structural elements of the Pallet House project. I think it's really incredible the level of opportunity that this is providing. And I do really hope that there's a way through this that we can come back to the baseline that a lot of us that are here doing this work, we're here because we care about the community, we care about people, we care about a greater good. And as somebody that runs a grocery store out here, there's some scary stuff that's been happening. I know Ivy Market has been dealing with some really scary stuff, and it's like, we just want to create safe, compassion spaces for everybody. So I just need to say that from the general manager perspective, this job is very difficult. It only got harder during COVID. Every day I come to work and I hope that I'm doing the best work for the safety of our workers, but also for the well-being of the community. So to everybody on this call, I know we're all here because we care deeply about Isla Vista and how magical this community is and how inspiring it can be. And I do believe what we have happening with the Pallet Project is a huge step forward, and also the commitment for People's Park to be a space to hold these folks for longer. So just sorry to take it there, but I just had to say something as like another general manager. So thank you all. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, Gina. I mean, those are really important perspectives. And then I understand the IVRPD's perspective, as well, and agree that the children's areas should be accessible. And then Anascoyo is also so unique with the pond and the ducks and things that, that's a good experience for the kids that they're missing out on at this point in time.
Rodney, can I just say that you raise a really good point about that, and this brings me joy. I hope it brings other people joy. But my baby's 7 months old now, and he freaking loves looking at ducks at the park. Like, that is his favorite activity. So we go down to a park near our house, and we just look at the ducks, and it's just so simple and so joyful.
And then IVRPD as well. I don't think Kimberly mentioned it, but it was somewhat implied, but they also have to comply with the nesting season, which starts March 15th. So any of the trimming and everything that's done in that park has to be completed by that point in time as we enter the nesting season.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening. And I will open if there are questions, specific things that we can answer. I see some of the names on the call of people who have reached out to us. And we will be preparing more of a statement. And I'm hoping that we can get your support in helping settle some of our guests. And also, again, if there's work to be done, I think there's a lot of advocacy still to be done on and advocating and getting people supplies and things within reason, creating more opportunities for people to get employed. There's a lot of stuff that I think collectively the district would have liked to have worked on with the start of my tenure that we haven't really been able to even tap into yet. And I think that I really would like to try to see how we can continue to work with Ivy Beautiful and other agencies to ensure that, people are getting pathways and employment and things if that's what they want, to go back and serve our parks. And I really also, I know there was a request looking at more, how do we maybe change some of our jurisdictions to have long-term camping in maybe one of our parks or two. I mean, I'm open for all of these ideas, but, you have to start in a place of safety. And I appreciate that people are listening and understanding that it's a really complicated issue that, frankly, all of California and all of the United States has not been able to solve. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Ash, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, two things that come to mind that might be beneficial to elaborate on is there room for everyone at People's Park? And the other thing I'm hearing is that some people don't believe RPD actually needs to do maintenance on the whole park. And I've had the privilege of hearing staff's reasons, and it was pretty convincing that they really do need to access it for maintenance for like 5 different reasons. I don't know if that will help anyone else understand, but importantly, the thing about People's Park, right?
Yeah, thanks so much, Ash, for bringing that up. And I also just really want to, I know, Ash, you're here independently on your own, not related to being a board member, but I want to acknowledge how much I've appreciated our conversations and your questions, which are so inspiring and on point. And a couple things is, we have mapped out People's Park. We have been working with Good Sam and understanding the flow of where we are right now of people who are willing and wanting to receive service with Good Sam, and they have the availability, and how to ensure that, again, we are offering space. So Raymond, who's here with me right now, has been doing a lot of the work on the ground to make that happen. I also want to say thanks to Kirsten and UCSB for helping support some of the use of the parking lot. And, the maintenance things, a couple of them that come to mind is, there's been a real request for lighting that actually was approved some time ago. We'd like to try to move forward for better pathway lighting. I also want to talk a little bit about, I think I mentioned this in my initial conversation about the closures. We do not want to put up fences all the way around Anascoyo Park. I think that collectively there'll be areas where we might have to do some closures because there'll be trenching that needs to be done, electrical conduits. Again, doing some of the work on the trees that will require some lifting and things like that. Equipment. We want to get the actual. I was talking about this morning. We really would like to get the windmill moving and the wheel in the pond actually moving and circulating again, which I think is a nice feature. And I think that, collectively we'd like to make the park also ready to go so that I know Viviana and team and Deanna, there's going to be requests for, hopefully as we move through this pandemic, more requests for use of space and getting the stage up and running so that we can, host larger events. I know that also Jonathan and team have had to put their, event that you guys worked so hard on last year on hold. So I think, again, knowing that this park eventually will need to evolve back into a park that is day use for everybody, that we have this golden opportunity right now of, the shelter project to have alternative resources and connect people. And my hope is that we can connect people that are in the park and then be able to reach out to other audiences within that time period where other people can get support. So it's not, I feel like this is a model project, and collectively there's so much really great advocacy that's in this group. And I think, again, the work that needs to be done is significant. Our water mains are like from the 70s, right? So if they're not running, think about a toilet that's not working for 8 months, right? Things start to become problematic if you don't run the sprinklers and make sure things are making. And then, that's a lot of funding that will have to go to repairs that we would rather put towards other things and other cool projects. So yeah, and we're going to be outlining that also and circulating that information both on site as well as to people if they have questions. So thanks for bringing that up, Ash.
I have a question.
Does
If nobody
anybody
else
else have
their
any
hand up.
questions or comments?
I do. This is Gina.
Yeah, go ahead, Gina.
Two quick questions. One, the information about what the next steps are. I mean, we're 5 days away from the park closure. Can that be distributed as soon as possible? And then number two, on Monday, I mean, what's the process going to look like? If people are still present in the park on Monday, what are the next steps? Like, when will the police be called? What are the steps for, quote, cleaning up the park?
Yeah, really great questions. Thank you for asking that. We are working on a statement that will be, distributed about alternatives and the step-by-step piece. I believe that has already been communicated to via the outreach of Good Sam and also Home for Good on how to ensure that people are getting support those that are willing. I think that what we will start doing is, pretty much starting probably this weekend, starting to connect with people on the ground and ensuring that, the move is as smooth as possible. I know that Justin Schroeder and Ivy Foot Patrol is on the phone call right now. I think our goal is, again, to, ask people to move and ask that to do that politely and with respect and dignity. And, again, if people need to store items because they're going, downsize and they have important things, working with them on, like, similar to what was happening at the Orchard, Gina, and I know you were a part of that, and thank you for your help. And, I think ultimately that's the goal. And I think that, we don't want to make this more enforcement heavy. I don't think that it needs to be. And I'm hoping that, collectively people, instead of are going to jail, which, again, is never our goal, is to, hopefully maybe going to a sobering center or other alternatives so that they can have an opportunity to make a clear decision.
I also had a question. I was hoping, could you elaborate on the methods that you use to survey the residents of the park and collect their input on the closure and maintenance?
Sure. We've been working, I say our agency partners have been doing outreach with the community members in the park, probably heavily, I would say, since what, August? September. Yeah, we've had routine outreach out there connecting. So, many of our residents in the park right now, our guests in the park have been aware that, things are going to be changing and certain parts of the park are going to have to close due to maintenance. And we've been patiently waiting to ensure that we have an alternative. So that's our truth. And that's really what again, our agency partners that are on the line can maybe speak more in specific to.
Kimberly, it's Justin with the Sheriff's Department. Just for the folks listening, I think the word sweep was used a bunch, and that's kind of a trigger word there. We at the Sheriff's Department aren't doing any kind of sweep or anything, and it's not like the Parks District calls the Sheriff's Department and says, "Okay, boys, time to sweep the park." I'm out there every day. I talk to all these folks as well, and I'm able to provide them with additional services and other folks here, and so I'll be there to support this whole process. But it's not like we push a button or something and say, "Okay, let's go sweep the park." So just so that's known to everybody.
Thanks, Gina and Katrina, for asking those questions.
Anybody else? Okay, does anybody have any COVID-19 messaging or efforts that they would like to update? Okay, seeing none. Gina, you want to do the 3rd District report?
Yeah, I don't have too much to report other than I think probably the big thing at the supervisors meeting is that the state has not yet responded to our request to carve out and become a Central Coast region. We're lumped in with Southern California. And this is regarding the new metric with ICU availability. I have not checked what the county's ICU availability is in a couple of days, but on Tuesday we were at around 30 to 40%, which is good. That is much higher than most areas of the state. Alarmingly, Ventura County, our neighbors in the south, are at 0%. availability of ICU bed space, which is scary. Marin County today went to 0%. San Joaquin region, so the whole Central Valley has been at 0%. And then in the Southern California region, I think Imperial and Riverside are both at 0% ICU. So that's not just for COVID. That means if you get in a serious car accident or different people need ICU space. In fact, in our county, COVID makes up a minority of ICU bed capacity right now. And other ICU needs, that means you don't get that care. So it's pretty serious. So that's why we're on a statewide curfew. We're all under a curfew, and why there's been really dramatic measures put in place by the governor. And so our hope is at our county that they would let us have a Southern California carve out. Us in SLO County do have, as I said, ICU bed space. But even if that's granted, and I kind of think it might not be given what's happening in Ventura County, which would be part of that group. The best case scenario is we'd be able to exit into the purple tier. So there would be differences in how things are now versus how they were. But the biggest difference would be that outdoor dining would be allowed to operate again, if we're allowed to exit into the purple tier, and that would be shortly after Christmas. But with that, I will say, even though our ICU bed space is like in better shape than a lot of counties, our hospitalizations, our active cases are up. They're the highest they've ever been. And since the outbreak has started, this is pretty fascinating and important. Whatever our number of positive cases are, and right now it's just over 1,000 active positive cases, 10 to 15% of those, whatever that number is, will be hospitalized. And it's always has fallen in between that 10 to 15%. And of that, 1% will be in the ICU. We have 99 ICU bed spaces in the county. And we say bed space is kind of a misnomer. It's not bed space. You can make bed space really quickly for ICU. It's staffing. It's nurses, especially. So we have a national, but a statewide nurse shortage. And so that's the real driver of lack of bed space. You have to have the health personnel to go along with it. So, and I will say, since we're on here, you know what, to IV's credit, the numbers, the testing positivity is down. UCSB is doing a tremendous job. They're starting to do testing. They have labs that can process results really quickly. Some days UCSB is testing up to 1,000 folks, and the positive rates, I mean, only a small handful are coming back positive. So actually the low positivity rate in IV UCSB is, I think, helping the county. And so I don't think many people quite realize that or acknowledge that. And some people in their minds still have some of those summertime party stories in their head when people were unfortunately gathering in IV like they shouldn't have been. And sometimes those are still happening, but it is pretty remarkable, the low positive. I find it remarkable, the low positivity rate. So anything else? Any questions about that?
Rodney, I have a couple questions. Gina, thanks. Two questions for you. One is, can you give us an update on the giving of citations by health officers, and is that activated and how that's going? And then the other one is, I know that there is a plan to bring more testing into IV starting in January, and I don't know if you or somebody else might have some updates to share with the group on that.
I don't have the dates in front of me. I can try to find them. Your first question was
the citations by the.
I think law enforcement can respond to that, but it takes 30 days for the administrative fees. It takes 30 days after the second reading at Board of Supervisors. So that didn't actually go into effect, I think, until December 10th. So it would have been only the last 1 week that they'd actually be able to issue the administrative citations. I don't know if they have or not. So that's pretty new and live. And then the second thing is testing. Let me pull up. And did you have any other questions or anybody else? Let me pull up what Dr. Ferris summarized it. Viviana Marzano also knows the testing. Here we go. Nope, that's not the one. Wait, okay, wait.
Gina, while you're pulling that up, I'll jump in on the citations if just for an update. in the last 2 weekends, we've had like 3 to 5 large parties over the course of the weekend. Each weekend, we issued 2 of the citations for hosting large gatherings for against the public health order. So just to reiterate what Gina said, we've seen a huge decrease in people hosting parties, which is awesome. The ones that are sort of becoming repeat offenders, those are the ones that we're starting to step in and issue the citation. So 2 each of the past weekends.
Thank you.
I can say just from living out here, it's been very quiet.
Good. All right. So here's what we've got. So
I'm hearing the waves at 9 o'clock at night, which is awesome.
Nice. Starting on January 8th, they will operate weekly on Fridays and Saturdays for approximately 5 hours a day, and it will be walk up only, no appointments needed. And then we have the ability to expand or upscale the testing hours and days if we need. And I don't know if it's been finalized, but the plan was to keep contracting with UCSB to use Ivy Theater for that, which UCSB provided without charge. So we appreciate that. And then we still have the Goleta Valley Community Center testing site that anybody can use. So there's that. It's pretty, that's close to Ivy.
Great.
Does that answer the question, Deanna?
Thank you for that, Gina. And I know that there's going to start to be some materials being distributed so we can get the word out to the community about the testing sites. Just one final question about that is, that testing site at Ivy Theater will be for everybody in the community. It's going to be focusing on trying to encourage Ivy residents primarily to be there, but it's open to everyone, right?
Yep, correct.
Thank you.
Can I ask one question? I know we're at 1 o'clock, and Gina, you might not have the answer, but we had our first religious freedom mask exemption people come to the co-op. I know that the health order has mask exemptions for mental health and medical.
Yeah.
I just sort of wanted to put out the buzz that these folks that came here like bullied our workers into being able to shop without masks on. We reached out for legal counsel, but I wanted to verify with everybody on the phone, if we have curbside shopping as our reasonable accommodation, is that in line with the county's health order that we have? Yes, there's mask exemptions, but we have the support of our curbside shopping to be our reasonable accommodation, right? Do you know about that specifically?
So, yeah.
I should also the religious thing was very tricky because it wasn't noted, and the folks that came here were very not nice. And so we've done our work to figure this out, but I just wanted to hear it from you also, so I'm sure of what we're.
I mean, do you guys have, I think that would be accommodating. I mean, do you guys have, do you have a national, either through your national network, or do you have any kind of legal counsel you ever go to?
I've reached out to all of our insurance. I reached out to all of our pathways. I just wanted to make sure with you on the call that I was interpreting the order right, that even with those exemptions, as a retail business, we are still able to, we're lucky that we have the accommodation, and that would be great.
Yeah, because ultimately at the end of the day, you're not discriminating. I would think the threshold that you don't have a discriminatory policy.
Yeah, that's exactly what we think too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry that you had that, and your workers had to have that experience, especially being so physically small.
Yeah.
That's very, very unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but I mean, we have our plan now. I just wanted to make sure, and this is something that I think other folks should know. This is an issue. Other grocery stores have experienced this, and people are coming in with cards that look very official, saying they have a legal exemption. That's not real. Tell your people that's not real.
Oh, it's so dangerous to put yourself at risk like that too.
Okay, thank you for that clarity.
All right, it's 1:05. We've got through most things on the agenda. We haven't really heard from law enforcement and or the community service district. But I think that, and if people want to stick around for a little bit and hear from them, that's awesome. And I think one thing we should do before people start checking out is we should be deciding what we want to do for our next meeting time. It falls on New Year's Eve on the calendar, which for UCSB, that's a holiday. So that would be tough getting a lot of the UCSB participation, I believe. And so I just wanted to know if we wanted to choose a different day for that and how we should move forward. Anyone have any thoughts?
I would suggest just pushing it to the first or second week of January, because I'm not sure how many people are going to be around on New Year's Eve.
Right. So do we want to just skip that meeting and then wait until keep on our regular schedule, or do we want to add something in between?
Yep.
Everyone's okay with just skipping that one? Okay, then our next meeting will be on the 14th of January. All right, law enforcement, are you able to stick around a little bit and give us your report?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can do it pretty briefly so people can get on with the day. I just wanted to address, I guess, one of the issues that I got the most calls and inquiries about. There was a helicopter circling over IV for quite a while. That was a incident that was an armed robbery in Goleta near Target, where the person used a knife to rob a business. And they were a member of the houseless community in Anascoyo Park. And so that's why, hey, buddy, I need you to go out there. Sorry, working from home today. So the helicopter, and there was a large law enforcement presence looking for this person. I was familiar with him. I'd actually spoken to him earlier in the day, so I knew exactly who it was. And his getaway driver was also a resident of the park there. And so that was the law enforcement activity that day. Other than that, there's just been a lot of overdoses in the park. I was present for 2 of them. And Gina mentioned it, kind of just the logistics and where people have their stuff set up. One of the gentlemen who I know pretty well, I had actually just arrested him the week before for something unrelated, but it was impossible for me to do CPR on this guy from where he was. He was just next to the pond in Anascoyo, and there was so much clutter and debris and stuff that the guy's heart isn't beating, and I'm not able to do CPR because of the amount of stuff. And so we had to get 4 people there, grab arms and legs, get him out onto the sidewalk so we could Narcan him and bring him back. And so people might think we're just like making this up, like, oh, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. We almost lost that guy. And I've known him for many years, and so that would have been horrible. So that's pretty much our update. I mentioned the parties have gone down, which is awesome. So thanks for everybody coordinating on that one.
Does anyone have any question? Oh, or how about Gary? You have something?
Actually, I do not. Just had a meeting with the chief yesterday. I pretty much gave my update earlier. I'm about to give Jay Friedman a call because I'm going to need some information on how to use our video camera to do. We're trying to do a little more update with information via video streams and on our new website that's impending. It's almost done. And the new chief has started reaching out. I suspect he will show up on one of these meetings. So if you all have questions and stuff at that time for him, he's very community outreach oriented. But as far as I think on the itinerary was with regards to BLM, we haven't had any updates in that regard at all.
It would be great to have him come to one of the meetings. Tori, do you have something?
Nope, same as Gary. I don't have anything, but I do wish everyone a really happy holiday season. We will be here obviously 24/7 every day, here on Christmas, here on New Year's. So if you need anything, please do not hesitate to reach out. Somebody will be here to answer that call.
Thank you. Any questions for any of the law enforcement? If not, IVCSD, Jonathan, any updates?
Hey everybody. I don't think we have any major updates that have happened in since the last meeting. You know, we have our new board members who've been sworn in now, Marcos Aguilar and Catherine Flaherty, and we're gonna have a board retreat at the next January where seeking our priorities. So if you have things you want to bring to the CSD for priorities, that's something that's going to be happening at the top of next year sometime. Besides that, we are, one thing we are helping Leonore with the food distribution program. And I know that, next week, it's still going on next week, obviously, because even if students leave, we still have many families to serve, and that's the main audience. But we're doing a little extra holiday treat for the people who utilize that service. And so we're looking forward to that. Besides that, one other thing our board is moving forward on looking at is nightlife, arts, and cultural planning. And that's a process we want to work on next year with everybody. And we have put together a work group for that. And we're going to be wanting to meet with every different group who's interested in nightlife, arts, and cultural planning. So look forward to that. No, we just passed the motion to start working on it. So we don't have a clear framework yet, but we'll be reaching out soon.
Great, thank you. Any questions for the IVCSD?
Jonathan, tell them about the great, everybody put out positive vibes for the great CDBG grant that the county's in partnership with.
That was on my list, and I just didn't say it. It's literally right here, and I don't know why my brain blanked that one out.
Jonathan and I wrote a fantastic grant, and we're gonna fingers crossed put it in the universe that we get it for funding for stuff for the community center.
Yeah, we put it in. I think it's 250,000. It's for the shade structure and lighting and signage around the building and area. So it's exciting. Well, we should know, I think, by February or March. Last year, we knew around then already that fast. So we didn't get it last year. We hope to win this year.
Fingers crossed. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. That was a really informative meeting, and I appreciate everybody who came and participated. And I, too, like Tori, would like to wish you all happy holidays and safe holidays. And I guess that's it. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Bye, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Good day.